When a billionaire CEO unexpectedly sees his ex-girlfriend with twin babies, everything he thought he knew about love and family changes forever. A powerful story of secrets, second chances, and the fight to reclaim what truly matters. It was just another business trip. Logan Hayes, the 34-year-old CEO of one of America's fastest-growing tech companies, wasn't expecting anything out of the ordinary. The private jet had landed 20 minutes ago at LAX, and his assistant was busy checking off his schedule. Investor meetings, press interviews, a gala. Logan had everything under control, like always. Nothing could have prepared him for what he saw next. He was walking through the VIP terminal, dressed in a crisp navy suit, his mind already on the next deal. People turned to glance at him. Some recognized him from Forbes or GQ. He was the man who built Haytech from his dorm room, the man who turned heartbreak into power. And then it happened. A small, childish giggle broke through the low murmur of voices. Logan turned his head, almost absent-mindedly. That's when he saw her. Her, sitting on the leather bench at the far end of the terminal, was a woman he hadn't seen in 6 years. Her back was to him, but Logan would recognize that voice, that laugh, anywhere. The way her shoulders lifted when she laughed, it was muscle memory. "Emma," he whispered, almost like he didn't trust his own eyes. And beside her, 2 little children, twins. They looked no older than 5, a boy and a girl, both with curly brown hair and dimples. The boy had Logan's eyes, deep, slate gray, sharp, curious. The girl had Emma's soft smile. His breath caught in his throat. She hadn't seen him yet. She was fixing the strap on the little girl's shoe while humming a tune. Something in him clenched, something old, something buried. He was supposed to be over her. He'd buried that chapter when she left him 6 years ago. No note, no goodbye, just gone. Logan had thrown himself into his work, into success, into women who looked like magazine covers but never made him feel. Not like her. "Sir?" his assistant asked, pulling at his elbow. "Your car is ready?" But Logan didn't hear her. He was already walking, slow, unsure, drawn by a force stronger than logic, stronger than pride. The closer he got, the more real the moment felt. Emma looked up. Their eyes locked. And for a moment, everything around them blurred. The sound of announcements, the rolling of suitcases, the shuffle of people, it all faded. It was just the two of them. Emma's face went pale. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. The twins looked up at the stranger standing there. The boy tilted his head, curious. Logan spoke first. "Are they yours?" Emma's eyes welled up instantly and she looked down. Yes. There was a long silence. He couldn't breathe. "Are they mine?" Emma blinked slowly, her hand resting protectively on the little girl's shoulder. She didn't answer, not with words. Just a single nod. That nod shattered him. Everything inside Logan collapsed like a house of cards. 6 years of boardrooms, success, and empty nights suddenly felt hollow. He crouched slowly, coming to eye level with the twins. "Hi," he said gently, his voice trembling. "I'm Logan." The boy smiled. "Hi." Emma watched, her hands trembling. She had imagined this moment so many times, but now that it was happening, she was terrified. Would he hate her? Would he walk away? "You have his eyes," Logan whispered almost to himself. Emma finally spoke. "Logan, I can explain. I didn't know how to tell you. You were already building your empire. I didn't want to be the reason you stopped." Logan looked at her sharply. "You think this would have stopped me? Emma, you were never the weight. You were the reason I started in the first place." She bit her lip. "I was scared." He stood up, eyes burning. "You took 6 years from me, Emma. 6 years with them, 6 birthdays, first steps, first words." "I know," she whispered, tears falling freely now. "I would have been there every single day." The little girl tugged on Emma's dress. "Mommy, why are you crying?" Emma knelt and hugged both children tight. Logan stood there, frozen between anger and awe. He didn't know whether to yell or cry or fall to his knees. But one thing was clear. His life had just changed forever. The airport lounge was no longer just a terminal. It had become a storm of emotions, memories, and regrets. Emma stood, trying to hold it all together. Her long, curly hair framed a face full of guilt and fear. She held her children close, as if she wasn't sure if Logan would take them away or walk away himself. Logan's hands trembled, his lips pressed tightly. He tried to look strong, but inside, everything was falling apart. "You didn't even say goodbye," he said again, quieter this time. Emma nodded slowly. "I know. You vanished, Emma. One day we were planning our future, and the next, nothing, no text, no email, no call, just gone." Her eyes welled up again. "I was pregnant when I left." Logan blinked, his heart slammed in his chest. "I found out 2 weeks after I left," she continued, voice shaking, "and by then I thought it was too late. You were already in New York, raising millions, building Haytech. Everyone was watching you. I didn't want to become a burden." "A burden," he echoed, almost laughing. "Emma, you were my everything." The boy, now curious, stepped forward and tugged Logan's jacket. "Are you mad at Mommy?" Logan looked down, caught off guard. "No," he whispered, kneeling. "No, I'm not mad at your Mommy." The little girl came forward too, hiding half of her face behind Emma's leg. Logan looked at them both, his children, his blood, his twins. "I didn't want them to grow up without a father," Emma said softly, "but I was scared. What if you rejected them, rejected me? What if your world didn't have space for us?" Logan stood up and stared at her. "You didn't even give me a chance to decide." The silence that followed was heavy. "I messed up," Emma admitted. "But I did my best. I raised them on my own. I worked at night, cleaned houses, did odd jobs. They've never been hungry. They've never been unloved." Logan rubbed his face, trying to calm the storm inside. "You think I care about money? I think you care about your name, your image, and I wasn't sure if I belonged in that world anymore." He took a deep breath and looked at the twins again. "What are their names?" Emma hesitated. "Liam and Lily." Logan smiled painfully. "You remembered. That's what we said we'd name our kids, remember? Back when we still dreamed out loud." Emma nodded, her eyes glossy. "I never stopped remembering." A pause. "You never married?" he asked. "No." "Why?" "Because I never stopped loving you either." It hit him like a punch to the chest. He stepped back, overwhelmed. "I need to think. This is a lot." Emma looked down. "I understand." Logan glanced at the twins. "Where are you staying?" "Airbnb on Red Maple Street, just for a week. We came to LA for a short break. I never expected to see you." He pulled out a card and handed it to her. "This is my number. Call me, please." Emma took it with shaking fingers. Then Logan did something he hadn't done in years. He bent down, hugged his kids, and kissed them on the forehead. "I'll see you soon," he whispered. He turned to leave, his chest tight, his steps slow. Emma stood there holding the card, the twins at her side. For the first time in 6 years, her hands were no longer empty. Logan sat alone in his penthouse that night, staring out at the Los Angeles skyline. The lights of the city sparkled like stars, but they couldn't distract him. His mind was stuck on a bench in the airport, stuck on a pair of tiny gray eyes, stuck on a woman who once meant everything to him and then disappeared. He poured himself a drink, but didn't sip it. His hand just held the glass, still and forgotten. Liam and Lily. The names echoed in his mind. He remembered lying in bed with Emma back in college, both of them dreaming about the future. "I want to name our son Liam," he had said, tracing circles on her palm. "And our daughter Lily," she'd smiled, curling into his chest. Back then, love was enough. Now everything was a mess. He finally stood and walked to his office across the hallway. It was sleek and modern, glass walls, steel shelves, and giant monitors showing numbers, stocks, and charts. But tonight, none of that mattered. He opened a drawer and pulled out an old photo album, something he hadn't touched in years. Inside were pictures of him and Emma, young and smiling, at the beach, at her mom's house, on their first Christmas together. His fingers trembled as he touched one photo. It was them at a small diner, her head on his shoulder, both of them glowing. Why had she left? Why didn't she trust him? He picked up his phone, heart racing, and dialed the number on the card he had given her earlier. It rang twice. Then her voice came through, soft, unsure. "Hello?" He froze. Hearing her again made it all feel real. "Emma," he said quietly. "Yes. I need to see you tomorrow, please." There was silence on the other end. Then, okay. The next morning, Logan arrived early. Emma had told him to meet her at a quiet park near her Airbnb. It was a small place, green grass, swings, and a little fountain in the center. Kids were playing. Parents sat on benches. It was peaceful. He spotted them immediately. Emma sat on a blanket under a tree. Liam was trying to catch a butterfly. Lily was feeding crumbs to a bird. Emma looked up when she saw Logan and smiled nervously. He walked over slowly, feeling like he didn't know how to act around them. "Hi," Emma said softly. "Hi," he replied. Liam ran over first. "Hey, you came!" Logan smiled and knelt. "Of course I did." The boy grinned and pointed to the tree. "That's my secret base. Want to see it later?" "Absolutely," Logan nodded. Lily walked over more slowly, holding a flower. She handed it to him shyly. "For you," she said. His heart melted. "Thank you, Princess," he whispered. They sat together on the blanket as the twins played nearby. Logan turned to Emma. "They're beautiful and smart. You did an amazing job." Emma looked down, cheeks pink. "I tried, but you shouldn't have done it alone." She nodded. "I know." They sat in silence for a moment. Logan turned to her again. "Were you ever going to tell me?" Emma hesitated. "Honestly, I don't know. I thought about it every day, but I was afraid of what you'd say, of how you'd look at me." He stared ahead. "Like this?" She didn't answer. "I would have married you, Emma," he said. "If you'd told me, I would have dropped everything." "I know, and maybe that's why I didn't. I didn't want you to give up your dream because of me." "But they're my dream too," Logan said, eyes misty. "They always were." Emma touched his hand lightly. "I never stopped loving you, Logan. Even when I left, especially when I left." He swallowed hard. "And I never stopped missing you." Liam called out from the tree. "Mommy, he's a good climber. Can he be our daddy now?" Emma turned red. Logan's heart jumped. He looked at her. "Can I?" She looked into his eyes. "We'll take it slow," she whispered. He nodded, a small smile forming. "But we'll take it together." That night, Logan couldn't stop smiling. He was back in his penthouse, but his thoughts were still at the park, with Liam's laugh, Lily's soft voice, and Emma's eyes looking at him like she never wanted to look away again. He leaned against the kitchen counter, phone in hand, staring at a photo Emma had just sent. The twins asleep, cuddled up next to each other, holding the flower Lily had picked for him. His heart squeezed. This was what he never knew he needed. His assistant, Jenna, walked in holding a tablet. "Logan, I have the revised contracts for the Tokyo deal and the email from the Forbes feature. They want a photo shoot next week." Logan didn't even look up. "Reschedule the Forbes thing." Jenna blinked. "Sir, it's cover placement." "I don't care," he said calmly. "I'll do it later." Jenna stared at him. "Are you okay?" He smiled to himself. "I'm better than okay." For once, work didn't matter. Profits didn't matter, image didn't matter. All that mattered were two kids who liked him enough to invite him to their secret base, and a woman who once held his heart and maybe still did. Emma was in the small Airbnb kitchen, cleaning up after dinner. The kids were already in bed. She had barely touched her food. Her stomach was tight, her heart was louder than usual. She had told Logan only part of the truth. Yes, she had left because she was scared. Yes, she didn't want to interrupt his rise to success. But there was more, so much more. After she left Logan, Emma had moved to Chicago. She had planned to tell him about the pregnancy once she was sure. But before she could, her mother had a stroke. Emma had to drop everything to take care of her. Hospital bills piled up. She had no job, no degree yet, no help. She had called Logan once. It was late. He didn't answer. She left no voicemail. After that, she convinced herself that he wouldn't want a woman who came back broken, a woman who came back pregnant. She sat down at the small table and pulled out her journal. She hadn't written in months. She flipped to a blank page and wrote, "Today, Logan met Liam and Lily. He held them. He laughed with them. And he didn't run. He didn't yell. He stayed." She paused, then added, "But I haven't told him everything." Not yet. I'm scared he'll hate me once he knows what I hid. She closed the book and rested her head on her arms. Would he still want them, if he knew the full truth? Emma looked down. I understand. Logan glanced at the twins. Where are you staying? Airbnb on Red Maple Street just for a week. We came to LA for a short break. I never expected to see you. He pulled out a card and handed it to her. This is my number. Call me, please. Emma took it with shaking fingers. Then Logan did something he hadn't done in years. He bent down, hugged his kids, and kissed them on the forehead. I'll see you soon, he whispered. He turned to leave, his chest tight, his steps slow. Emma stood there holding the card, the twins at her side. For the first time in 6 years, her hands were no longer empty. Logan sat alone in his penthouse that night, staring out at the Los Angeles skyline. The lights of the city sparkled like stars, but they couldn't distract him. His mind was stuck on a bench in the airport, stuck on a pair of tiny gray eyes, stuck on a woman who once meant everything to him and then disappeared. He poured himself a drink, but didn't sip it. His hand just held the glass, still and forgotten. Liam and Lily. The names echoed in his mind. He remembered lying in bed with Emma back in college, both of them dreaming about the future. I want to name our son Liam, he had said, tracing circles on her palm. And our daughter Lily, she'd smiled, curling into his chest. Back then, love was enough. Now everything was a mess. He finally stood and walked to his office across the hallway. It was sleek and modern, glass walls, steel shelves, and giant monitors showing numbers, stocks, and charts. But tonight, none of that mattered. He opened a drawer and pulled out an old photo album, something he hadn't touched in years. Inside were pictures of him and Emma, young and smiling, at the beach, at her mom's house, on their first Christmas together. His fingers trembled as he touched one photo. It was them at a small diner, her head on his shoulder, both of them glowing. Why had she left? At that moment, Logan was pacing in his office, phone in hand, eyes wild. Who leaked it? He barked into the speakerphone. I want names. That museum was private. We were low-key. His assistant stammered. Someone must have tipped off. The press. We're trying to trace the IP address from the upload. Do it faster, he snapped. Then he saw the message from Emma. Emma, your girlfriend just came to my door. Logan's heart stopped. He dialed her instantly. She picked up, her voice shaky. She threatened me. He closed his eyes. I'm so sorry. Emma, I didn't even know she was still calling herself my girlfriend. We broke up months ago. She didn't take it well. She showed me the article. I know, I didn't leak it, I swear. Emma exhaled. I believe you. I'll fix this, he promised. I'll protect you. Emma paused. I don't want to be protected, Logan. I want to be respected. He nodded, even though she couldn't see him. Then that's what I'll give you. That afternoon, Logan held a press conference outside his company's LA office. Paparazzi flooded the scene. He stood at the podium, the cameras flashing, microphones everywhere. I want to make something very clear, he said, his voice calm but firm. The woman in those photos is not a secret. Her name is Emma Carter, and she is the mother of my children. They are not rumors. They are real. They are mine. Gasps echoed. He continued. I didn't know about them until recently, but now that I do, I'm going to be present in their lives, and I will not tolerate harassment, threats, or disrespect. Toward them or their mother, anyone who does so will deal with me directly. He looked straight into the cameras. And to Emma, if you're watching, thank you for being strong, for raising them, and for letting me in. The reporters exploded with questions. But Logan stepped away. The world now knew, but it wasn't about the world anymore. It was about Emma, Liam, and Lily, and Logan wasn't going to lose them again. Emma couldn't breathe. She stood frozen in front of the tiny Airbnb TV, her heart pounding as she watched the press conference. Logan stood tall, confident, defending her like a knight in a world full of cameras. His words echoed in her mind. They are not rumors, they are real, they are mine. For a moment she felt seen, protected. But then reality crept in. Her phone hadn't stopped buzzing since morning. Strangers on social media were tagging her, Gossip blogs were reposting her photos. Her inbox was filled with reporters pretending to be old friends wanting to catch up. She was trending on Twitter, not as Emma Carter, the single mom who worked 3 jobs, but as Logan Hayes' baby mama. She closed the laptop with a heavy sigh. Lily ran in holding her stuffed bunny. "Mommy, are we famous now?" Emma knelt down. "No, sweetie, we're just noticed." Liam entered too. "Can we be on TV like Daddy?" Emma tried to smile. "We're not actors, baby." "But Daddy said we're special," Lily insisted. Emma's heart ached. "You are very special. But this kind of special came with a cost." Across the town, Logan was already in damage control mode. He sat at a long boardroom table with his PR team, legal advisors, and marketing heads. The room was filled with suits and tense whispers. One woman cleared her throat. "Logan, your speech was heartfelt, but public opinion is split. Some see you as a hero. Others think this is a scandal." "I don't care what they think," Logan replied. The head of marketing leaned forward. "You should. The company's upcoming IPO might be affected. Investors are cautious. We need to spin this right." Logan narrowed his eyes. "I'm not spinning the truth." A younger assistant timidly spoke up. "Sir, one more thing. Emma's background is being pulled apart online. People are digging. Her old jobs, her college dropout, her hospital debt." Logan's jaw clenched. "Shut it down. Immediately." "But sir," I said, "shut it down." He stormed out of the room before they could respond. 15 minutes later, he was at the Airbnb. He knocked. Emma opened the door, her eyes tired. She stepped aside wordlessly. Logan entered and saw her phone on the couch, the screen filled with notifications. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. Emma folded her arms. "This is too much. My face is everywhere. Our kids' names are on blogs. People are digging into my past like I'm some criminal." "I didn't want this," Logan said. "I wanted to protect you. That's why I went public." She looked up at him. "You don't get it. You've always lived in the spotlight. I haven't. I liked being invisible. Safe." He nodded. "I understand." She hesitated, voice shaking. "Do you?" "Because while you were doing press conferences in suits, I was getting hateful DMs calling me a gold digger." Logan's heart sank. "I'm not saying I regret letting you back in," she continued, "but I didn't sign up for this kind of storm." He reached out and gently took her hand. "Then let me fix it." "How?" she whispered. "I don't know yet, but I will." The next morning, Emma received an unexpected call from a private number. She answered cautiously. "Hello?" "Emma Carter," the woman said. "This is Jennifer Paulson from Hensley Law Group. We represent someone from your past." Emma's throat tightened. "Okay." The woman continued. "This is regarding a legal petition being filed. A man named Darren Clark is requesting partial custody of Liam and Lily." Emma's heart nearly stopped. "Excuse me?" "He claims to be their biological father." Emma's world tilted. No, that's not possible. He was my ex, but the twins are Logan's, 100%. "Then we suggest you prepare a paternity test and documentation as soon as possible. The petition will be served within 48 hours. Emma dropped the phone. Lily and Liam were coloring on the floor, giggling. She stared at them, her heart pounding in her ears. She had told Logan everything except one thing. She had once dated Darren, just before reconnecting with Logan 6 years ago. But the timeline had never made sense. And after one terrible night where Darren got aggressive, she cut him off. Still, the question haunted her. What if there's doubt? Emma told Logan that night. His jaw locked. He's doing this for attention or money. He always wanted control, Emma said quietly, and now he sees a way to get it. Logan stood up. We'll get the paternity test done immediately. I'll bring the top legal team in the country. Emma hesitated. What if there's a small chance? He turned to her slowly. Are you saying you're not sure? Tears filled her eyes. I want to be. But we weren't together long, and it was a confusing time. I don't want this to blow up in our faces. Logan came closer. No matter what that test says, Emma, I'm not walking away from them. Or you. She broke down in his arms. He held her tightly. The headlines, the pressure, the court case, they all faded in that moment. All that mattered was them, and the storm they would have to weather together. The silence in the car was loud. Logan gripped the steering wheel as they pulled into the private clinic. Emma sat beside him, eyes fixed on the dashboard. In the back seat, Liam and Lily hummed a made-up tune, blissfully unaware of the storm their parents were walking into. Emma turned to him. Do you think we're making the right choice, letting them be tested? Logan nodded, jaw tight. It's not about choice anymore. It's about proof. She closed her eyes. They're so young. I don't want them to feel like they're some kind of problem. Logan reached for her hand. We won't let them feel that. The clinic was quiet, discreet, built for celebrities who wanted privacy. It had tinted glass, soft jazz playing in the waiting room, and staff that whispered everything. A nurse came over with a clipboard. Mr. Hayes, Miss Carter, we're ready. Emma looked at her children and smiled tightly. Okay, babies, we're going to play a little game, all right? Just a tiny swab in your mouth like a tickle. Will it hurt? Lily asked, wide-eyed. No, sweetheart, Logan said gently, kneeling to her level. Daddy's here, Mommy's here, we'll be right beside you. The test took less than 15 minutes, but the weight it carried felt like hours. As they walked out, Emma whispered, what if they're not yours? Logan stopped and looked at her. They're mine, he said, test or no test. I felt it the first time I looked in their eyes. She nodded slowly, but doubt still clung to her. Heart like smoke. Back at the Airbnb, Emma tucked the kids in early. They were tired after the clinic game and fell asleep quickly. But Emma couldn't sleep. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at her hands. Her fingers trembled. Her heart wouldn't settle. Suddenly, there was a knock. Logan. He stepped in quietly. His shirt was slightly wrinkled, his eyes shadowed from stress. I couldn't stay home, he said. She nodded. I couldn't sleep. He sat down beside her. The silence between them was full of fear. I've handled mergers worth billions, Logan said. But nothing has ever shaken me like this. Emma looked at him. They're yours. I believe. That. Deep down I do. He turned to her. Do you want to talk about Darren? She exhaled. We dated for 3 months. It wasn't serious. But when I got pregnant, he tried to come back. He offered money, then threats. I blocked him, left town. Logan's fists clenched. And now he thinks he can waltz in and take everything? Emma looked down. He won't win. Not this time. The next day, Emma received a visit from Logan's lawyer, Ms. Grace Holloway. She was sharp-eyed, calm, and deeply experienced. You'll need to prepare for court, she said. It won't just be about biology. Darren will try to paint you as unstable, unfit. He'll bring up your jobs, your debts, your past. Emma swallowed. Even if the test proves he's not the father. Grace nodded. He's trying to create chaos, and we can't let him win the narrative. Log need to stay quiet. Logan walked in, overhearing the conversation. What do we need to do? Grace looked at him. You need to stay quiet for now. No more press, no more speeches. Keep it low. Focus on your family. Emma looked at Grace. What about the kids? There. Already public, Grace replied. But we'll request the judge keep them out of the spotlight. We'll build your story around love, consistency, and safety. Emma exhaled. Okay, let's do it. That evening, while the adults planned and worried, Liam sat alone at the window, knees pulled to his chest. Lily walked over with her. "Bunny, why are you sad?" Liam frowned. "I heard Mommy crying last night." Lily sat beside him. "Daddy Logan said everything is okay." "Then why does everyone look scared?" She didn't answer. A few minutes later, Emma found them both asleep by the window, holding hands. She carried them to bed, brushing their curls back gently. Then she sat alone in the kitchen, waiting. At 9:47 p.m., her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Test results attached. Confidential." Emma opened the document, her hands trembling. She read the first line over and over, her heart rising to her throat. Probability of paternity, 99.9998%. Logan Hayes is the biological father. Tears poured down her cheeks. She covered her mouth and cried, silent, relieved, broken and whole all at once. Logan's footsteps echoed as he entered. He saw her tears and froze. "Emma?" She looked up, smiling through the sobs. "They're yours," she whispered. He rushed forward, dropping to his knees in front of her, pulling her into a tight hug. "They're mine," he repeated. "Yes." For a long time, they just held each other. No words, just truth and hope and future that was starting to feel real. Indeed, a future that was starting to feel real. The courtroom was cold, not because of the air conditioner, but because of the tension. Emma sat at the front beside Logan, wearing a modest navy blue dress, her hands clasped tightly on her lap. Logan looked sharp in a tailored suit, but his jaw was tight, his eyes fixed on the door. Across from them sat Darren Clark. He looked smug, relaxed, like he belonged here, like this wasn't insane. He wore a cheap grey suit and a crooked tie, but his eyes were sharp, calculating. He smiled at Emma once. She looked away, disgusted. The judge, a stern woman with a no-nonsense tone, entered and banged her gavel. "Court is now in session. This is the preliminary hearing in the case of Darren Clark versus Emma Carter and Logan Hayes, concerning alleged paternity and custody rights of minors, Liam and Lily Carter." Emma flinched hearing their names spoken like property. Darren's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, despite a recent paternity test favoring Mr. Hayes, we argue that Mr. Clark, as a past romantic partner during the likely conception period, has a right to request visitation and custody consideration under emotional claim of prior belief." Logan's lawyer, Grace Holloway, rose immediately. "Objection, Your Honor. The DNA test is legally binding and proves without question that Mr. Hayes is the biological father." The judge raised a hand. "I have reviewed the documents. Mr. Clark, are you aware the children are not biologically yours?" Darren stood. "I am, Your Honor, but biology isn't everything. I held those kids when they were babies. I helped Emma buy diapers before she ghosted me." Emma's mouth dropped open. "You're lying!" The judge banged her gavel. "Miss Carter, you'll have your chance to speak." Grace leaned toward Emma and whispered, "Don't rise to it. He wants you emotional. Stay calm." Darren continued, "I'm not here to take them. I just want to be in their lives. They called me Uncle D. I love them." Emma clenched her jaw. She hadn't seen him since the day she cut him off, after he'd yelled at her and grabbed her wrist when she refused to borrow money from Logan. She remembered how scared she'd been that night, and now he stood in court, acting like a saint. Logan looked ready to explode. The judge turned to Grace. "Would your clients like to respond?" Grace stood. "We will provide statements and proof of zero contact between Mr. Clark and the children over the last 5 years. He has made no attempt to be present until he discovered their biological father was a billionaire. This is not about love. It's about leverage." The judge nodded slowly. "We'll schedule a formal custody review. In the meantime, no contact is permitted between Mr. Clark and the minors." Emma exhaled deeply, but Darren just smirked. Outside the courthouse, paparazzi circled like vultures. Microphones were shoved in their faces. Emma, is he really the father? Logan, are you paying her to lie? Mr. Clark, do you have a message for the twins? Darren leaned into one mic. I just want what's best for the kids. Fame shouldn't decide fatherhood. Logan turned to Emma. Get in. The car. They pushed through the crowd. Inside the car, Emma finally spoke. He's not giving up. Logan didn't answer right away. His fingers tapped the steering wheel. Then he said, he's bluffing. He has no legal ground. But that doesn't mean he won't keep trying. Emma looked out the window. He just wants to embarrass me. He won't succeed. They rode in silence for a few minutes. Then Logan asked gently, what happened between you and him? The truth. Emma hesitated. Then she said, he wanted me to ask you for money after we broke up. Said I owed him for putting up with me. When I said no, he grabbed me. That's when I knew I had to disappear. Logan's fists clenched. He touched you? She nodded, eyes wet. Logan didn't say another word the rest of the drive, but his mind was screaming. That night the twins knew something was wrong. Why was Mommy wearing fancy shoes today? Liam asked. Why did she look sad again? Lily added. Logan kneeled between them. We had a meeting about your school. Emma gave him a quick, thankful glance. Lily tilted her head. Are we in trouble? Logan pulled her into a hug. No, baby. You're the best thing that's ever happened to us. They smiled and clung to him. Later, when they were asleep, Emma stood outside on the balcony, the city lights twinkling far below. Logan joined her, standing close. He's not going to win, he said again. She looked up at him. Even if he doesn't, the damage is done. Everyone's watching us now. What if we can't give the kids a normal life anymore? Logan turned to her. Then we give them something better, a strong life, a life where they know who they are and who's standing by them. She leaned into him, resting her head on his shoulder, for now they were safe, but Darren wasn't finished, and neither was fate. The next few days were quiet, too quiet. Emma tried to fall back into normal routines, morning cartoons with the twins, small grocery runs, bedtime stories. Logan made time to visit daily and even stayed over twice in the guest room just to feel close. But Emma could feel it in her chest. Something was coming. And she was right. It began with a knock. This time it wasn't Camille or a lawyer. It was a woman in a dark green coat holding a small brown envelope. Miss Carter, she asked. Yes? I was asked to deliver this to you directly from Mr. Darren Clark. Emma stared at the envelope like it was ticking. She waited until the woman left, then closed the door and sat down at the kitchen table. She opened it slowly, carefully. Inside was a printed document, a thin file. On the cover page it read, Subject, Emma Carter, College Termination Report 2017. Her blood went cold. She flipped through. It was real. Her academic records, her expulsion letter, and a summary report. Student dismissed for suspicion of cheating and disorderly conduct. Tears pricked her eyes. It wasn't true, but it was official, and Darren had it. Suddenly, her phone rang. Unknown number, she answered. Emma, Darren's voice drawled. Did you enjoy my little package? You have no right. I have every right, he cut in. Your perfect little story's about to fall apart. Poor Emma raising twins all alone, expelled from college for cheating, almost arrested. Think the media won't love that? It was a setup, she said. I never cheated. But it looks like you did. Silence. I want $250,000, or I go public with it. Darren said, dare the interview at a local bar. His, and a future that was starting to feel real. Emma's hands shook. You're a monster. No, sweetheart, I'm a man who sees opportunity. She hung up, and then she called Logan. 20 minutes later, he arrived. Emma handed him the file with trembling fingers. He flipped through. It calm on the outside, boiling underneath. Is this real? He asked. Yes, but it's not the truth. Tell me everything. Emma took a deep breath. In my final year, I was dating someone older, a teaching assistant. Stupid, I know. He promised he'd help me with finals. Then one day, my exam answers matched his key exactly. The professor thought I'd stolen it. I tried to explain, but I didn't want to expose him. He had a family, kids, so I took the fall. Logan was quiet. I lost my degree, my reputation, my confidence. It's why I left town after finding out I was pregnant. I had no diploma, no money, no future. Logan looked her in the eyes. You had integrity. She blinked. You protected someone who didn't deserve it. And you didn't lie to me now. That's what matters. She sat back, stunned. But we're not going to let Darren weaponize this, Logan continued. We'll handle it on our terms. 2 days later, Logan arranged a sit-down interview with a respected journalist, not a tabloid chaser. Emma wore a simple blouse, light makeup, no glam team, just her truth. The interviewer leaned forward. Emma, a file recently surfaced regarding your college record. Do you want to address it? Emma nodded. Yes, I was expelled from college in 2017. I was accused of cheating, but I never did. I took the blame to protect someone who used me. I was ashamed, but I've worked hard ever since. I've raised 2 beautiful kids on my own, and I refuse to let shame keep following me. The interviewer paused. Do you think this resurfaced because of Logan Hayes? Absolutely, Emma said. People only care about your past when they see your future scares them. That quote trended within 2 hours. Emma Carter speaks. She told the truth. The future scares them. Darren saw the interview at a local bar. His phone buzzed. It was his lawyer. You've lost your leverage, the voice said coldly. She got ahead of it, and now you look like the villain. I am the villain, Darren muttered, taking a shot of whiskey. But people love villains. Meanwhile, Logan was holding Emma's hand as the interview aired. You were incredible, he said. She smiled. I was terrified. He laughed. But you were honest, and that's the one thing Darren will never be. Then Liam came running into the room. Mommy! Daddy! Look! They showed you on TV! Lily followed, carrying a drawing. This is us! Our family! Emma took the paper, her hands trembling. 4 stick figures, all holding hands, all smiling. And in the top corner, the twins had written, Mom plus Dad, us. She looked at Logan, tears in her eyes. He whispered, We're not just fighting for them, Emma. We're building something. She nodded. Together. The world finally went quiet. After the interview, Emma felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not the fake kind where you pretend to be okay, but the deep, soul-level kind that makes your chest feel light. People started messaging her, not to mock or threaten, but to thank her. Women from all over the country wrote things like, I took the blame once, too. You gave me courage to speak up. You're not just the billionaire's girl, you're your own woman. Emma cried, reading everyone, and Logan, he watched her with a pride so deep it scared him. He had fallen in love with her before, when she was young and dreaming. But now he was falling for the woman who had survived, protected, endured, and still stood strong, and he was done playing it safe. That morning, Logan asked Emma to meet him at a quiet downtown restaurant, just the 2 of them. She arrived wearing a soft green dress and her hair pulled back, simple and beautiful. He stood when she came in and kissed her cheek. You look peaceful. I feel it, she said. They sat down and ordered coffee. She noticed he looked nervous. What's wrong? She asked. He took a breath. I'm stepping down. Emma blinked. From what? From Haytech, from being the CEO. Her eyes widened. You're joking. I'm not. I've already drafted the transition letter. She stared at him. But why? Because I spent 10 years building an empire and losing everything that mattered. Now I have a chance to get it back." Emma's voice was small. "Me?" He smiled. "You, the twins, a real life. But that's your company, your legacy." He shook his head. "No, you and the kids are my legacy." Emma's eyes brimmed with tears. "Logan." "I'm not retiring forever," he added. "Just stepping away. I want to be there for school pickups, for scraped knees, for Saturday morning cartoons. I want to be a real dad, not just a photo in their frame." She reached across the table and held his hand. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For choosing us." Later that day, Logan took the twins to the park while Emma met with Grace, their lawyer. Grace handed her a folder. "We have a new date. Darren's filing one last petition. He's claiming you're mentally unfit due to emotional trauma from college years. He's digging deep." Emma sighed. "Of course he is." Grace leaned in. "This isn't about the kids anymore. It's about hurting you." "Then let's finish it," Emma said. "I'm done being afraid." At the park, Logan sat on a bench watching Liam and Lily build sandcastles. He didn't notice the man sitting across the path until he heard the voice. "Well, well. If it isn't America's favorite daddy." Logan turned slowly. Darren, wearing sunglasses and a smirk. "I don't think this is your playground," Logan said, standing up. Darren chuckled. "Relax. I'm just enjoying the view. You've got cute kids." "Walk away." Darren stepped closer. "Or what? You'll hit me in front of them? That'll look great on the next headline." Logan's jaw tightened. "If you ever show up uninvited again..." "What will you do, Logan? Buy me off? Sue me? I've already lost, I know that. But if I'm going down, I'll take as many people with me as I can." Logan stared him down. "You won't win." "I already lost," Darren said quietly. "But so did you. You gave up your company, your clean image, for a woman who used to serve drinks in a hotel bar." And then he turned and walked away. Logan stood still, heart racing. Then Lily ran up. "Daddy, we made a castle." He turned back to her. And just like that, the tension melted. He crouched, smiling. "That's the most beautiful castle I've ever seen." Liam shouted, "You're the king, Daddy!" Logan ruffled his hair. "Nobody, you are." That night, Emma told Logan what Grace had shared. He didn't flinch. "We're almost there," he said. "Just one more court date. Then we're free." Emma nodded. "Let's win, and then let's go away. Just us. Maybe somewhere quiet. A real family trip." He smiled. "Where to?" She shrugged. "Anywhere we don't have to look over our shoulders." He kissed her forehead. "Sounds perfect." But Darren wasn't done. That same night, in a cheap motel on the edge of the city, he opened his laptop and uploaded a folder to a private blog titled "The Real Emma Carter." With one click, he released years of photos, old texts, fake stories, and anonymous accusations. It was messy, mean, desperate, but it was about to go viral. And this time, it might cost them everything. It happened overnight. By morning, Emma's name was everywhere, again. But this time it wasn't praise or sympathy. It was ugliness. Secret life of Logan's baby mama. Emma Carter's dark past exposed by insider blog. From college scandal to luxury life, who really is Emma Carter? The blog Darren created had spread like wildfire. Old photos of Emma at a party, screenshots of text messages with college friends, twisted, edited, taken out of context, accusations from anonymous users claiming she'd been kicked out of school for sleeping with a professor, rumors that she had used her kids to climb into Logan's life. Emma saw it all on her phone in the dim light of her bedroom. She scrolled, each word a punch to her chest. Whore, liar, gold digger. She's just after his money. The words weren't true. But they were loud, and they were everywhere. She felt sick. A knock came at her door. Logan stepped in, phone already in his hand. His face was hard, angry. "You saw it?" she asked, voice hoarse. "I'm already working with the legal team," he said. "We're issuing takedowns, suing for defamation." She shook her head slowly. "It's out there now. People will believe whatever makes the best story." Logan sat beside her, wrapping his arms around her. "Then we make them see the truth. Again." Emma leaned into him. "I'm tired, Logan." "I know. No matter what I do, he keeps coming back." He kissed her temple. "He's losing. This is desperation." Then the twins came running into the room, too young to understand the full scope, but not too young to sense something was wrong. Lily was holding a tablet. "Mommy, why are people saying you're bad?" Emma froze. Her hands shook as she gently took the tablet from Lily's hands and placed it aside. "Come sit," she said softly. Liam climbed up next to her. "Are you sad because of the phone?" She looked at both of them, heartbreaking. "Listen to me, babies. Sometimes people say things that aren't true because they want to hurt others. It's not because we did anything wrong. It's because they're angry, or jealous, or scared." Lily frowned. "But you're nice." "You always hug us," Liam added. Emma nodded, tears in her eyes. "And I always will." Logan cleared his throat. "And you know what else? Your mommy is the bravest woman I know. She's stronger than anyone on the internet." The kids looked between them. Lily leaned her head on Emma's shoulder. "We love you." Emma hugged them tightly, and for a moment the noise went quiet again. By noon, Logan's PR team had launched full-scale damage control. The blog was flagged, removed, and replaced with a legal notice, but the screenshots had already spread. And now the court case was back in dangerous territory. Grace met them that afternoon with a grim look. "The judge wants to review the blog content. She's questioning your fitness again, not because of truth, but because of perception." Emma nodded slowly. "I figured." Grace leaned in. "There's one thing we can do. It's risky, but it could shift the case." "What is it?" Logan asked. "A live testimony from you both before the judge. You tell your side, honestly, no script, just the truth." Emma's stomach tightened. "They'll eat me alive." "Maybe, but they'll see your heart, and sometimes that's stronger than facts." The night before the hearing, Emma sat on the balcony while Logan put the kids to bed. She looked up at the stars. For the first time in years, she asked God to help her, not to erase the pain, but to give her strength. Logan joined her a few minutes later. "Still awake?" he asked. "I'm scared," she whispered. "Tomorrow decides everything." He took her hand. "No, we decide everything. The judge just gets to watch." She looked at him. "What if I lose?" "You won't, because you've already won." The next morning, the courtroom was full again. Darren sat confidently in his seat, a smug grin on his face, but Emma didn't look at him. She sat beside Logan, holding her truth like armor. The judge turned to them. "Miss Carter, Mr. Hayes, you may speak." Emma stood and began. "I am not perfect. I've made mistakes. I've trusted the wrong people. I've failed. But I have never stopped fighting for my children. I've never used them to get anything. They are my everything. I didn't know Logan would come back into our lives, but he did, and he's been everything I hoped a father could be." She paused, tears falling. "I won't pretend this hasn't been painful, but I'm standing here anyway, because my children deserve peace, they deserve love, and Darren Clark is not a man who can give them either." Then Logan stood beside her. "I used to think success was money, power, headlines, but success is sitting at the dinner table with your children and hearing them laugh. I'm stepping down from my company not because I'm ashamed, but because I finally found what matters more. He looked at the judge. "We're asking you to end this, so we can give our kids a real childhood without cameras, without fear." The courtroom was silent. Even Darren's smirk had faded. The judge nodded once. "I've heard enough. Final ruling will be issued in 24 hours. Emma sat back down. Her hands were shaking, but her voice had never been steadier. 3 weeks later, the house on Maple Ridge Street was no longer just a house. It was a home. There were signs of life in every corner, finger paintings taped to the fridge, tiny shoes by the door, and a growing collection of bedtime books stacked beside the couch. The kitchen always smelled like toast or cookies. The twins had learned to ride their bikes in the driveway, and laughter filled the air, real, belly-deep, innocent laughter. Emma stood barefoot in the kitchen one morning, flipping pancakes while Lily danced around with a teddy bear. Logan was in the backyard with Liam, helping him build a wooden birdhouse they bought on a whim. It was the kind of life people prayed for, the kind of peace Emma once thought belonged only to other people. Now it was hers. Later that evening, after the kids were tucked in and the TV was humming softly, Emma sat beside Logan on the porch swing, a blanket wrapped around her legs, and his arm around her shoulders. "Thank you," she said quietly. He smiled. "For what?" "For this. For showing me that broken things can be beautiful again." Logan turned to her, his expression tender. "Emma, do you believe in second chances?" She nodded slowly. "I do now." He kissed her forehead. "Good. Because I have something to tell you." She looked up. "I turned down a $20 million offer last week," he said. Her eyes widened. "For what?" "To sell Haytech. Investors wanted to buy it out entirely. I said no." She blinked. "Why?" "Because I'm starting something new," he said. "With you." Emma frowned. "What do you mean?" He pulled out a folder from under the porch bench and handed it to her. She opened it, scanning the papers. Her jaw dropped. "You're opening a foundation." He nodded. "The Carter Hayes Foundation, for single moms, for women who've been silenced, abandoned or underestimated. You'll be co-chair. You'll decide the mission, the names in honor of what you've survived." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes," he said. She laughed through her tears. "Yes." He held her hand tightly. "This isn't just about helping others. It's about giving your story the ending it deserves, and giving thousands of others their beginning." Emma looked out into the dark sky, stars blinking above. Them. She had been homeless once, jobless, pregnant and scared, misjudged, misnamed, but now she had a future so big it overflowed. She leaned into Logan. "We almost missed this, didn't we?" He nodded. "Almost." "But we didn't," she whispered. "No," he said, kissing her cheek. "We didn't." Inside, the twins were sound asleep. Liam mumbled in his dreams, arms wrapped around his stuffed rocket. Lily's bunny was curled in her arms like always. They didn't know about courtrooms or blog posts or public battles. They just knew love. And that was enough. The next morning, Emma walked outside with a coffee in one hand and a clipboard in the other. She was planning her first speech for the foundation launch next month. Logan watched her from the porch, smiling like a man who had finally found everything. "You're amazing," he called out. She smiled back. "I'm busy," he laughed. "Even better." Then Lily came running with a flower crown she made from the garden. "For the Queen," she shouted, placing it on Emma's head. Liam followed with a paper crown. "And for the King." Emma looked at Logan. He looked at her. And in that moment, sunlight on their faces, children circling them, and peace all around, they both knew. They had rebuilt something sacred, not just a relationship, but a life. The life they almost missed. The grand opening of the Carter Hayes Foundation was held in a renovated downtown event space with with tall glass windows and a stage draped in soft gold. Dozens of women from across the city arrived, single mothers, survivors, dreamers. The media came too, but this time the spotlight felt different. It wasn't scandal chasing them. It was respect. Emma stood backstage in a white satin blouse and simple black skirt, her notes trembling slightly in her hand. Logan stepped up behind her, gently resting his hand on her back. "You're ready." She took a deep breath. "I'm terrified. You're not alone." She looked at him, searching his eyes. "This speech, it's not about us, is it?" He smiled. "No. It's about everyone who never got a microphone." Until now, she stepped onto the stage. The room fell silent. Cameras clicked, phones recorded. But all Emma saw were the women in the front row, listening with wide eyes, waiting for something real. She adjusted the mic. "2 years ago," she began, voice calm but steady, "I was cleaning hotel rooms with one hand while holding my baby in the other." The room was still. "I've been judged for my past, doubted because I didn't have a degree, called names because I raised twins alone, and used as clickbait because of who I fell in love with." Small murmurs rippled through the crowd. Emma smiled gently. "But today I stand here not as a headline, not as a scandal, but as a voice, and not just mine, but yours too." Applause. Emma continued, her eyes watering. "We created this foundation for women like us, the ones who were told, 'You can't,' and answered back, 'Watch me.'" The applause grew louder. "And if anyone ever asks who gave me permission to speak," she said, her voice rising, "tell them I took it." The crowd stood. Logan, watching from backstage, blinked away tears, but as Emma stepped down from the podium, something or someone caught her eye. In the far back corner of the room stood a woman. Emma froze. She hadn't seen that face. In over 7 years, it was Professor Alden, the woman who signed off on her college expulsion, the woman who never let her explain. Emma's heart thudded. She had imagined this moment many times. Alden stepped forward slowly, clutching her handbag tightly. Her once firm face was softer now. Older. They met halfway. "Emma," the professor said quietly. Emma swallowed. "You came?" "I saw the broadcast, the interview. I wasn't sure I should, but I wanted to tell you something." Emma raised her eyebrows but said nothing. "I read the letter you wrote, the one you left in the appeal box the day you left campus. I never opened it, not until recently." Emma's throat tightened. "I made assumptions," Alden admitted. "I was wrong, and I'm sorry." Emma stared at her. "Why now?" "Because I want you to know I've recommended the college reinstate your record, retroactively, and award your degree." Emma's mouth parted, stunned. "What? You earned it. You did the work." "I didn't see you clearly before, but now everyone does." Emma took a shaky breath. "I stopped needing that degree a long time ago." Alden smiled softly. "I figured, but maybe it'll look nice on your new office wall." Emma nodded. "Thank you." They didn't hug. They didn't have to. It was closure. That evening, after the event, Logan found Emma alone in the garden behind the venue. She stood looking up at the sky. "She apologized," Emma said before he could ask. He smiled. "How do you feel?" "Lighter," she said, "but I didn't realize I was carrying it until she let it go." He slipped his arms around her waist. "The whole world saw you today, and they loved you." She leaned back against him. "I think I'm finally proud of me too." He kissed her shoulder. "I always have been." Then Lily came running with flowers from the table arrangements. "Mommy, you were on stage, like Beyoncé!" Liam followed. "Can we have cake now?" Emma laughed, tears in her eyes again. "Yes, baby, let's get cake." They walked back. toward the building, hand in hand, under soft yellow lights and fading applause. It was a perfect evening, but one more surprise still waited, and it would change everything. 2 years later. The sun dipped low over the hills of Sonoma Valley, casting golden light over a garden filled with white roses, silk drapes, and soft violin music. Guests whispered, turned, and stood as a woman appeared at the top of the aisle, her gown ivory and flowing, her hair pinned with tiny pearls. Emma Carter. She didn't walk alone. Liam stood on one side in a little tuxedo, beaming. Lily held her other hand, dressed like a tiny fairy princess, with flowers in her curls. The crowd smiled. Some wiped tears. Some clapped softly. At the end of the aisle stood Logan Hayes, still handsome, still calm, but with eyes that shimmered. The moment he saw her, this wasn't a wedding for show, it was a homecoming. When Emma reached him, the twins stepped aside and took their seats. Logan took her hands, whispering only loud enough for her to hear, "You're even more beautiful than I imagined on this day." She smiled. "You're the only man who's ever made me feel safe standing still." The officiant began, but Emma barely heard the words. Her heart was louder. Her past, present, and future collided into this moment. They exchanged vows beneath the sunset, and when the officiant said, "You may kiss your bride," Logan did, softly, reverently, like it was the first time. The guests cheered, but for Emma, the only sound that mattered was the laughter of her children, and the feel of Logan's hand in hers. 6 months later, their family grew again. In a quiet delivery room lit by morning sun, Emma held a newborn baby girl to her chest. She named her Hope. Logan kissed her forehead. "She looks just like you," Emma smiled. "She looks like everything we fought for." The twins adored her immediately. Lily made drawings. Liam wrote her a comic book where she had magical powers. They took turns holding her tiny hand, whispering, "You're safe now. Mommy and Daddy never give up." Logan never returned to his old CEO life. Instead, he and Emma built something better, a media company that told stories of real people, survivors, fighters, mothers. They hired women who were once silenced, giving them platforms and paychecks. And Emma? She spoke at universities. She mentored single moms. She became the face of what healing could look like, not polished, but powerful. One rainy afternoon, she sat alone at her desk, flipping through an old journal. Inside were the words she once wrote, "I haven't told him everything, not yet. I'm scared he'll hate me." She smiled, then crossed it out. Underneath, she wrote, "He didn't hate me. He loved me anyway." A knock on the door. It was Logan. Hope babbled in his arms, smiling. "Come take a walk," he said. "I want to show you something." She followed him out into the garden, where the twins were running through puddles. Logan pointed to a small wooden bench under the tree. On the back was carved, "For the woman who turned storms into shelter." Emma sat overcome with emotion. She had once been abandoned. Now she was adored. She had once been underestimated. Now she was unstoppable. And as her husband and children laughed in the rain, she knew this for certain. This was the ending she deserved. But even more, it was just the beginning.